Okay, good evening everyone. Today we're going to talk about accounting for labor. Pag sinabi natin labor, what does it mean? Compensation income, the gain derived from labor, especially employment, earned from employer-employee relationship. Ang mga example dito, yung mga usual na na-encounter natin sa mga uh, transactions natin sa accounting, the salaries and wages. Included din sa compensation income that they receive, yung holiday pay, so sick leave pay, the employees are entitled na kapag may sakit sila, they could be paid. They also have night shift differential. Kahit hindi sabihin sa problem, automatic po na kapag nagtrabaho ang mga empleyado 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., meron po silang night differential pay. Kaya po yung mga nagtatrabaho sa night shift, meron po silang extra. Ilang percent po yung night differential na tinutukoy natin? 10% po ang sabi sa batas. Pero the company, kapag galante sila, they could give mga 20%, depende po. There are also tips and bonuses that the employees could receive. And exception lang sa gross income natin, the compensation income including overtime pay. So meron tayong overtime pay, holiday pay also, night differential pay, and hazard pay earned by minimum wage earner, yung mga MWEs. So yung mga minimum wage earner natin who has no other returnable income are non-taxable and not subject to withholding tax on wages. So kaya maririnig nyo palagi yung mga nag-work kapag minimum wage, wala po yung tax. Okay? And then, what are the wage plans that are being used by the companies? Yung iba po, depende po sa company kung anong gusto nila. Yung iba, hourly rate. Ang bayad po sa kanila ay per hour. So definite rate per hour per employee. Halimbawa, kami mga faculty, ang bayad po sa amin, kung nung part-timer po ako, per hour po. So syempre, may mga faculty po na regular. Ang bayad naman po sa kanila, monthly. So fixed po yung kanilang salary. Pero sa mga part-timer, usually per hour po ang bayad. If you work in Jollibee, for example, yung bayad sa mga crew, sa mga staff, per hour po. Iba po niyan, 4 hours lang nagtatrabaho a day. Multiply mo yung hourly rate niya with the number of hours worked. So yun yung total na gross compensation income niya. So yung iba, hourly rate plan. Yung iba naman po, piece rate po ang plan. So depende po sa product. So iba po, ang example ng mga nagpi-piece rate, yung mga may patahian. So usually, pakyaw yan ng kung ilan yung pinintahiin. So binabayaran yung mga nagtatahi. Depende with the number of pieces that they produce. So definite rate per output per employee. So rate per output, multiply po natin with the number of output worked. Okay? Meron naman tayong tinatawag na modified wage plan. So parang from the term itself, parang pinagsama lang natin yung hourly rate at saka piece rate. Meron kasing mga companies na they pay sa using on these two plans kasi iniisip nila sometimes kapag piece rate, ito yung ganado sa paggawa ng mga empleyado. So ibig sabihin, sa sobrang sipag nila, if they produce so much, so sobrang taas din ng labor cost nila. Yung hourly rate plan naman, ang minsan ng problema dyan, babayaran naman sila per hour regardless kung ilang pieces yung nagawa nila. So ang nangyayari, yung iba hindi nagiging ganun ka-productive. That's why some companies are adopting modified wage plan para may balance na yung iba magsipag talaga kasi even if they are paid on some point based on hourly rate plan, pero depende rin sa number of outputs that they produce. Iba naman po daily rate plan. Ang sweldo nila is per day per employee. So rate per day times number of days worked. So iba naman, wala dito sa listahan natin, sabi ko nga, monthly rate plan. Ito yung mga fix ang sweldo for a month. And usually tayo mga accountants, if you work someday, yung sweldo natin, karaniwan, monthly po or monthly rate plan po tayo. Ayan. So, how do we control yung mga labor cost? We have here, when you say controlling labor cost, that means maintaining labor records, which is the responsibility of the timekeeping and payroll departments. But of course, sa tunay na buhay, depende sa company kung sino ba ang nagta-timekeep at nagpe-payroll. May mga companies na HR po ang in charge with the payroll. May mga companies na accounting department ang in charge sa payroll. Pero regardless kung sino ang in charge sa payroll, they are doing these two activities, timekeeping and payroll. When you say timekeeping, we compute or they account for the time spent by the employees. So we are trying to determine how long they worked for a certain period, kung ano yung cut-off ng company sa pag-compute ng payroll. The other one is the actual computation of the payroll of each employee's earnings. Pag sinabi mong payroll, may gross income po tayo, kaya po naka-enumerate dito, may gross po tayo, may deduction po tayo. Anong mga deductions yung tinutukoy natin? Meron po tayong deductions because of our government contributions. And then, there comes your net pay. Yung net pay po, ang tawag ng iba ay take-home pay. Ang net pay ay after mo ma-deduct lahat ng deductions mo sa payroll. Alright, so let's continue. This is just a sample. The companies are using time ticket. Yung ibang companies ang ginagamit nila, time card. Ang time card kasi, makikita mo anong oras nag-in, anong oras nag-out. So basically, regardless kung saan siya nagtrabaho na job, ibig sabihin kasi di ba sabi natin nasa job order costing system tayo. There are different jobs that the company is working on. So kapag time card lang ang gamit natin, in and out lang makikita mo. Pero hindi mo makikita specifically kung saan siya nag-work. Kung para kaninong customer, yun trinabaho niya for the day. That's the difference with the time ticket. Because with the time ticket, you work starting from 8 and you ended at 4 p.m. So the hours completed is 8. Tapos ang hourly rate ay $11. So $88 ang total amount of your payroll for that day. Tapos, nakalagay po dito, specific po sa job number A143. Ibig sabihin, itong amount na to, dun mo dadalhin sa job cost sheet ng job number A143. So sa time ticket, naka-specify po saan mo i-charge yung labor cost. Ang time card, wala pong naka-indicate na ganun. Yun po yung difference. Okay? Yung iba, another way of controlling labor costs, pagdating naman talaga dun sa para maiwasan yung mga manipulate ng timekeeping, gumagamit po sila ng biometrics, gumagamit po sila ng, kasi dati bandi-bandi lang. So sometimes yung mga empleyado, kahit wala sa opisina, nakakapag-time in and time out kasi bandi lang ang ginagamit nila. Yun po yung sinusosok mo yung time card mo sa bandi clock. Yun, since anybody could do that, kahit wala pa yung empleyado, so nagkakaroon ng problema minsan na nakakapag-in kahit wala pa nga yung empleyado. So, another one way to control that is yung biometrics. So, you cannot do the time in nang hindi ginagamit yung physical na yung fingerprints nila or pwedeng sa mata, depende po sa company kung i-adapt nila. Okay, so those are the things or idea kung paano mag-control din sa labor cost natin. Right, let's continue. Controlling labor costs. So we have the regular time that is worked. The regular time work is charged to job debiting work in process. Regular time. Okay? Ito po, lahat ng basic na pay natin would be charged to work in process. Tapos ang overtime po, sabi rito, may be charged to jobs. Maybe. Or it could be charged to factory overhead. So may option po tayo ha. Klaro po tayo dyan. Because there are times na ang overtime premium, even if that is generally parang part ng overhead, would be charged to the job as direct labor. Okay? This is also allocated partly to jobs and partly to overhead. Okay? Overtime distributions depend upon the conditions creating the need for overtime hours. Meron po tayong tinatawag na rush job. So mamaya, meron tayong example, ano ang treatment ng overtime premium kapag rush po yung job. Okay? Let's continue. If an additional rate is allowed for extra hours worked, the additional rate earned is called overtime premium. Kaya pag sinabi mong premium, di ba, that is on top of the basic. Bakit ba may additional rate? Because ang mga Pilipino or ang mga tao, tinignan nila na ang normal working hours is 8 hours lang. If you work beyond 8 hours, parang ine-extend mo talaga yung sarili mo, pinipilit mo na magtrabaho pa. So for you to be able to do that, or for you to convince the employees to do that, you are giving them premium. Otherwise, kung same rate lang din po yan, parang hindi sila masyado mako-convince. What extra do they get from extending or from working on extended hours? So meron po tayong OT or overtime premium. The premium rate will depend on the CBA or collective bargaining agreement between the management and the union ng mga employees po. Meron po kasi tayong, kapag walang sinabi sa problem, ang gagamitin po natin yung minimum na na-mention sa batas, which is 25%. Pero kapag ang company ay galante talaga, minsan po talaga galante, minsan 40%, minsan 50% po ang ginagamit na pag-compute ng overtime premium. Bawal ba yon? Hindi. Pwede po yan, pabor po sa mga empleyado. Wag lang below 25%. Alright? Ayan. Let's continue. Overhead classification. Di ba we are accounting for labor? But there are cases na sweldo siya ng direct laborers, pero that would be classified as overhead instead of direct labor. Ano po yung mga items na yan? Number 1 is waiting time or idle time. So what does it mean? Nakita mo sa time card, 8 hours yung trinabaho niyan. From 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. sa 8 hours yung trinabaho. Pero, ibig sabihin 8 hours yung ipinasok. Pero yung actual na trabaho niya, 7 hours lang. Tumanga siya ng 1 oras. Tama? So ang tanong dito, how many hours ba yung babayaran natin sa empleyado? Nagtrabaho siya, 7 hours lang. Pero yung oras niya, 8 oras siyang pumasok. Ilang oras mo siya babayaran? The answer is, of course, 8. Kasalanan ba niya na wala siyang gagawin na 1 oras kung natapos na lahat ng trabaho? Hindi naman. That's why yung ibang companies, they are trying to do something with the idle time. Ito yung ginagawa nila, nagkakaroon sila ng training, nagkakaroon ng huddle, nagkakaroon ng parang they are trying to determine what else can we improve in our process. Ang ibig sabihin lang, basta kasi hindi nila naalat sa paggawa, hindi sila nakapagtrabaho doon sa ibang oras na ipinasok niya, that is what we call idle time or waiting time. Nangyayari din po yan kapag dependent po sa machine yung production. So minsan, naghang yung machine, nagka-problema yung machine, pumasok yung mga tao, they will still be paid for the entire 8 hours. Yun nga lang, kung 8 hours siya pumasok, naghang yung machine for 6 hours. So ibig sabihin, 2 hours lang nagtrabaho. Ilang oras siya babayaran? 8 hours pa rin. And then the 6 hours would be charged to overhead. Kasi nagkaroon tayo ng idle time. Okay? Another possible reason kung bakit magkakaroon ng overhead classification kahit na direct laborers pa itong mga pinapasweldo natin is because of the make-up pay. Mamaya pag-usapan natin kung ano yung make-up pay. Just we have mentioned this a while ago, overtime premium generally classified as overhead. But ito naman yung paminsan-minsan, the overtime premium can be classified as direct labor. Kailan yun? So shift premium also. Minsan na isang company nagbibigay ng shift premium. Especially kapag yung shift na yun ay medyo hindi masyado talaga na attractive sa mga employees na pumasok. So minsan ito yung mga oras na medyo hindi ganun ka-safe din. So what the company does is they try to give shift premium. So sa shift premium po na yun, parang siguro binibigyan na lang para meron pang taxi yung mga empleyado. So may extra pay. Ilang percent po yun? Depende sa company. Yung iba nagbibigay ng 5% na extra pay, yung iba 20% na extra pay, yung iba 30%. Depende po kung gaano kagalante yung company, kung gaano kayaman yung company sa pagbibigay ng mga extra pay sa mga empleyado. Alright? So we also have the employer's payroll contribution. Ano yung employer's payroll? Ibig sabihin, kung may employer's share, meron ding employees share. So mamaya pag-usapan natin when we do the payroll, dapat later on alam din natin yung entries ng lahat ng payroll na yan. Okay, so let's continue. So let's focus on waiting or idle time. So again, the waiting or idle time is the cost of non-productive hours of direct labor caused by lack of work, waiting for materials delay from scheduling machine breakdown and machine setup. So yun yung mga possible reasons kung bakit meron tayong idle time. And sample po ng scenarios na na-mention natin about idle time. So Maxine Garcia spent 36 hours on job 101 and was idle for 4 hours during the week. So Maxine's rate is 60 pesos per hour for 40-hour week as per union contract. Okay? So the following entry should be made to record Maxine's total wages. So debit, sabi natin, yung kanyang direct labor would be charged to work in process. So debit work in process. How much? 2,160. Saan galing yun? 36 hours lang po talaga yung totoong trinabaho niya. Tapos, yung 4 hours po would be charged to factory overhead because of the idle time. Okay, so 36 times 60, so that would give you 2,160. 4 times 60, that would give you 240 for factory overhead. So, ibig sabihin, ang salaries and wages payable mo, babayaran mo pa rin siya for the entire 40 hours. Multiply it by 60, that is your 2,400. So that's the concept of waiting time or idle time. Okay? Let's proceed. Make-up pay. Ano ba itong make-up pay na to? So this labor payment system benefits new employees because it guarantees them a minimum salary while they are learning their new job. Bakit kaya yung mga new employees ang nagbe-benefit dito? Okay. So, minsan kasi, nagsiset ng quota or ng target para sa bawat employee kung ilan yung pwede niyang magawa. And sometimes, kahit hindi, yung lalo na bagong employees, syempre bago sila, hindi pa sila ganun kabilis gumawa ng product na yun. So sometimes, even if, di ba sometimes, even if hindi nila ma-reach yung quota na yun, they will still be paid with a guaranteed salary. So, nasan yung overhead doon? Di pag-usapan po natin. Tingnan po ha. Maxine Garcia is paid 15 pesos per piece. Actually, ito na yung mga entries dun sa mga binigay ko sa inyo, no? Na supposedly ilalagay niyo po dun sa ating file section. So going back, Maxine Garcia is paid 15 pesos per piece produced. And during the week, she produced 80 pieces. So kung dito ka lang magbe-base, 80 times 15 is 1,200. Yan yung babayaran mo sa kanya. Eh sabi po dito, if the guaranteed weekly pay is 1,500, oops, naka 1,500 ba siya? No, 1,200 lang yung supposed to be babayaran mo sa kanya. However, guaranteed po yung, guaranteed po yung 1,500. Ayan. Then the difference between 1.5 and 1.2 is charged to factory overhead control. So, ang entry po natin, debit, work in process, 1.2 lang. Tapos, ang salaries and wages payable, the entire amount, syempre, babayaran mo sa empleyado. So, ang factory overhead mo ay 300. Para sa inyo 300, yung kulang. Okay? Kasi binayaran ka pa rin ng entire 1.5, but the direct labor is only 1.2. Whatever the balance is or whatever na hindi na cover nung nagawa, that would be charged to overhead. Okay? Ayan. Sabi naman dito sa another scenario, if Maxine is guaranteed a weekly pay of 1,000, guaranteed lang siya ng 1,000. Magkano yung actual pay niya? 1,200. Mas malaki yung actual pay niya. Alin mas susunod? Yung guaranteed or yung actual pay? Of course, the actual pay. So whichever is higher would be the amount paid to the employee or kay Maxine. So debit, the entire amount would now be debited to excuse me, work in process, and credit to salaries and wages payable. So pag kulang, yung kulang po matcha-charge sa overhead. Pero kapag sobra, yung nagawa mo, the actual amount would be debited to work in process lahat. We have a question here. Sir, yung salaries and wages payable po ba na credit? For example, sa idle time and make-up pay. Yung entry po ba ay pwedeng accrued payroll? The answer is yes. Because the salaries and wages payable, accrued payroll din po yun. Or accrued salaries and wages. Ang reason bakit may accrued, na-incur na pero not yet paid. You are correct po. So don't worry, if ang ginamit po ay accrued payroll, that would be okay. You're welcome. So let's continue. Ayan, overtime premium. So let's go to overtime premium. It represents the amount paid in excess of regular rate to employees in excess of 8 hours in a day or working during holidays or their rest day. Di ba? May mga companies sa Monday to Friday lang ang pasok. So pag pumasok sila ng Saturday, may overtime premium na po siya. Pag pumasok siya ng holiday, may overtime premium po siya. Ibig sabihin, aside from the salary na makukuha niya based on 8 hours, may premium, may extra pay na naman po tayo. Okay, so meron din naman tayong overtime na Monday to Friday din na nangyayari. Ibig sabihin, after you work from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. na may break na isang oras sa gitna, itutuloy mo pa yung work mo. Yung iba naman, sa Sabado nila ginagawa yung overtime nila. The entire work ng Saturday ay overtime. So let's compute or let's have some example of overtime premium. Again, ilang percent ka kapag walang sinabi sa problem? Huwag kalimutan, 25%. So sa pag nagbigay ng problem, sir, ilang percent po ba? Huwag mo nang itanong. Kasi if the problem is silent, we will assume na kung ano yung minimum na sinabi sa batas, which is 25%. Okay? So we have here a simple example lang. Mamaya po yung mga problems natin. So Maxine Garcia worked for 45 hours during the week and she paid time and a half. Ibig sabihin na she was paid actually time and a half. Ibig sabihin, ang premium mo ay 50%. Okay? Then the entry will be, dapat 40 hours lang, right? Yung work in process natin 45 hours. Bakit 45 hours yung work in process? Remember, yung overtime pay mo, OT pay, pinagsamang basic at saka OT premium. Magkaiba po yung OT pay sa OT premium. Ang OT pay, yung total na bayad sa overtime mo. Ang OT premium is on top of the basic. So I hope klaro po yung part na yun, ha? So, kahit ilang oras pa ang trabahuin yan, pag tinanong lang naman sa exam ay amount ng direct labor, the entire number of hours, multiply it with the rate. That would be the amount of your direct labor charged to work in process, which is 2,700. Okay? Factory overhead would be 5 hours lang po yung overtime. Multiply mo po ng 60 pesos times 50%. Di ba? Time and a half po tayo. So the answer is 150. The entire payroll would be 2,850. Okay? Sabi po dito, may note lang dito. If the overtime worked by Maxine was caused by a rush order, ayan, and the customer has agreed to pay for the special service, Kung mapapansin nyo or kung maalala nyo ng mga panong face-to-face pa po, kapag meron kayong kailangan ng ID picture tapos rush, what have you noticed with the charges? Well, usually, pag rush, mas mahal compared sa regular na paghihintay mo na ma-print yung ID picture mo. So dito mo makikita na yung logic, bakit kaya mas mahal yung rush? It is simply because the overtime premium, whatever premium that you have here, that would be added to, that would be charged to the customer. Okay? Sabi pa rito, and the customer has agreed to pay for the special service, then the premium will be debited to work in process instead of factory overhead control. Di ba? If you remember, dati sabi natin, whenever there is a debit to work in process, we are increasing the amount charged to the customer. Okay? So let's continue. Shift premium naman yung pag-usapan natin. So that's extra pay to work during less desirable evening shift. So yung iba, 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Yung iba naman, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So depende po sa company kung ano yung kinoconsider nila na less desirable na shift. This shift premium should be charged to factory overhead ulit rather than the work in process. Again, that's premium, that's another, kaya nga extra pay. Ilang percent kapag shift premium? Ito yung dapat sabihin na sa problem. Okay? Pero kapag night shift, syempre automatic po, ano sabi natin? 10% po. So, minsan ang examiner, hindi niya sasabihin na merong night differential or night shift premium. Basta nakalagay lang doon, may 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., mahuhuli yung mga nakalimot sa 10%. Okay, so don't forget about the 10% na night differential pay or night shift premium. Let's continue. So this is just a simple example of shift premium. Still, Maxine Garcia is assigned to night shift and is paid a shift premium of 20 pesos per hour. So sometimes, ang shift premium, naka-percent, 20%, 30%, in terms of percentage. Sometimes, the shift premium is a fixed amount. Just like in our example here, that's 20 pesos per hour. So the entry for her pay will be debit, work in process, 40 hours po siya ng trabaho times 60. Tapos yung 40 hours times 20 would be charged to factory overhead control because that is for the shift premium. Okay? So the total amount payable to Maxine Garcia is 3,200. All right. Again, if you have questions, so please put that in our chat box para masagot po natin as we go along. All right, so let's continue. Overhead, meron pa po tayo. Employers' contribution. So we have the amount remitted to different government agencies for SSS premium, PhilHealth contributions, and HDMF contribution or pag-ibig. Okay? Ayan, employers' contribution. Ito po ay overhead. Ibig sabihin, expense po ito ng mga employers. So that would be chargeable to overhead, yung mga contribution ng mga direct laborers. Sir, yung bang employer's contribution ng mga wala sa factory, automatic po yun na nasa general and administrative expense. Sir, yung bang employer's contribution ng mga hindi direct laborers, yung mga supervisor, manager, automatic po yun lalo na kasama ng overhead. Ito lang yung exception to the rule na part po kasi siya ng benefit na nare-receive ng direct laborers, ng mga factory workers for example. Kaya naman, the employer's contribution would be charged to overhead. Okay? Ayan. Oops, this is just an example of a problem ng make-up pay. So what do we have here? Tinatanong po ay total amount of payroll and then the amount debited to factory overhead. So ano nga yung make-up pay? Ito yung merong guaranteed wage na kahit hindi mo naabot yung ganong number of pieces na kailangan mo magawa, you will still be entitled to receive that minimum guaranteed wage. So let's read the problem. So Mendoza Company's compensation scheme for its factory workers provides a combined minimum guaranteed wage, ayan, and a piece rate. Each worker is paid 30 pesos per piece with a minimum guaranteed wage of 3,600. Dito pa lang kung titingnan mo, kung 3,600 ang minimum guaranteed wage, parang kahit hindi sabihin yung quota, ang equivalent po niyan kapag 30 pesos per piece, ang gagawin natin is around 120 pieces. Okay, or 120 units. Okay. And then during the first week of July, the production department submitted the following output. So, para lumalabas dito, ito yung tatlong teams sa production department. Nilagyan ko lang ng BSA 34, 314, 3FS, 3N. So the number of workers, 50 ang workers ng team BSA 34, 55 kay 314, 60 kay BSA 3FS 3N. Ang units produced, 110 kay BSA 34, 140 kay BSA 314, and 105 kay BSA 3FS3N. Kung mapapansin mo, ang nakamit lang talaga yung minimum na kailangan na i-produce para masulit naman yung minimum guaranteed wage ay itong BSA 314. Ibig sabihin, units produced per week, per worker per week, ito po yung average nila. Ibig sabihin ng BSA 34, 110 lang ang nagawa on the average, pero they will still receive yung para sa 120. Pero itong BSA 3FS3N, 105 lang ang nagawa, they will still receive yung para sa 120 because that is what is meant by the minimum guaranteed wage. Ang tanong po dito, magkano yung total amount ng payroll? Yung unang team, 50 po ang nagawa. Ay, 50 po ang workers. Ilan ang nagawa on the average? 110. Ang tanong ay payroll. Magkano bayad sa kanila? Ilan ang babayaran? Pang 120 pa rin. Nakuha? Times. Magkano per piece po? 30 pesos. So ito namang BSA 314, magkano babayaran sa kanya? 55 po sila lahat. Multiply po natin ng actual na 140 because the amount of actual payroll would be whichever is higher sa nagawa at saka dun sa minimum guaranteed natin. Okay, so times 30. Dito po sa dulo, 60 ang workers. Ilan na nagawa per worker per week? 105. Pero ilan ang babayaran? 120 po. Kasi that's the minimum guaranteed natin. Multiply natin ng 30. If we get the total, the answer would be 627,000. Okay, so that's the answer in number 1. Pero that's the amount of your payroll, ha? Ang tanong po sa number 2, magkano ang debited to factory overhead? Paano mo makukuha? Di ba sabi natin, ang factory overhead, yung kulang po sa minimum na guaranteed natin. Ilan ang kulang sa una? 10. Ilan ang kulang sa pangalawa? Wala naman. Ilan ang kulang sa pangatlong team? 15 lahat. Kaya, for us to compute kung magkano ang overhead natin, that would be 50 times 10. Ito naman ay 60 times 15. Mumultiply mo na lang with 30 pesos. If you get the total, magkano po yung total natin? That is amounting to 42,000. Okay? That is the amount charged to overhead. Sir, magkano yung direct labor? Yung difference po nilang dalawa. Magkano yung difference nilang dalawa? That's 627,000 minus 42,000. That's 585,000. Ito po yung direct labor. Sir, kung direct labor, diretso ang tanong. Pwede naman po, pag direct labor, actual po na nagawa ang pag-usapan natin. 50 times ilan na nagawa? 110 per worker times 30. DL po yung kinocompute natin. Yung isa, 55 Ilan ang nagawa? 140. The actual po, di ba? Times 30. Yung pangatlo, 60 times, ilan ang nagawa? 105 times 30. Ayan. So that would lead to 585,000 also. Okay? So again, ang clue natin, pag direct labor ang tanong or charge to work in process, actual po ang titingnan. Pag ang tinanong ay total amount of payroll, check mo po, alin ba yung nakamit at hindi nakamit. Kasi yung mga nakalagpas, like this one, you pay in actual. Yung hindi umabot, you pay based on the minimum na guaranteed. Alright, so I hope that's clear. So let's proceed to, actually, papakita ko pala dito yung answer. Ayan po yung answer natin sa make-up pay. So I hope that's clear. Let's now proceed to discussion on the rush job and normal jobs. So this time, ang tanong po dito, the amount of direct labor charged to the job. Tapos sabi sa number 2, if GP rate is 40% based on cost, the unit sales price would be how much? And if this is not a rush order, meaning ito po ay normal job lang, the total billing price would be how much? Okay. So, tinatanong yung direct labor charge to the job. Ito po, itong problem, basahin po muna natin. On Saturday morning, a customer brings a rush order of 10,000 units of product X. Ruwalo Company agrees to produce these units for the customer on Sunday. So, may clue ka kagad na usually ang Sunday po talaga yung overtime. And that would be shipped on Monday. And then 90 of the direct laborers who earn 100 pesos per hour worked 8 hours on Sunday. Tingnan natin ilan sila, 90 sila. Yung trabaho ng 8 hours, magkano ang rate nila? 100 pesos per hour. Ayan. Ruano Company's regular working days are Monday to Saturday. So it only shows na ang Sunday po nila talaga ay overtime. And then the company pays 40% overtime premium for Sundays. So materials costing 8 pesos per unit was used on the order. And then the factory overhead is applied to 2/3 of direct labor. Ang tanong lang naman po sa number 1, magkano yung charge to direct labor? Magkano yung amount of direct labor charged to the job? So again, 90 hours, 90 workers times 8 hours times 100. Pero yan po yung basic natin. Pero sabi natin, if the job is rush, even the premium would be charged to direct labor. So times 1.4. Bakit 1.4? Basic po niya yung 100%. Tapos yung 40%, that would be the premium. Eh lahat naman charge to direct labor. So simply multiply 1.4. So 90 times 8 times 100 times 1.4. So the answer is 100,800. Yan po yung amount ng direct labor natin. So nakasama po yung overtime premium. So let's continue. If GP rate is 40% based on cost, the unit sales price would be. So this time, unit sales price ang tanong. So we have to get the unit cost first. To get the unit cost, we have to get the total cost. And that would be your DM, DL, and your OH. So ang DM po natin would be 8 pesos. Ilang units po ba? 10,000 units. So that is amounting to 80,000 pesos. Yung direct labor natin is how much? 100,800. Di ba ba? Ito po yun sa number 1. And then your overhead is how much? 2/3 of direct labor. So 100,800 times 2/3. So that would be 67,200. So the total amount of your, the total cost would be 67,200 plus 100,800 plus 80,000. So that is amounting to 248,000. That is your total cost. Okay? Total cost ng rush job natin. Ang tanong po ay unit sales price. And divide po natin with the number of units. The unit cost would be how much? 24.80. Ang tinatanong ay sales price. GP rate is 40% based on cost. So, mumultiply po natin ng 1.4. So, ito na naman tayo ha. Klaro po yung problem that the basis is cost. Pero kung walang sinabi na basis, the basis would be sales. I-divide mo to ng 0.6. So magkano po yung selling price natin dito? So 24.8 times 1.4. The answer is 34.72. So that is your unit sales price. Okay? Rush po yung pinag-uusapan natin. What if hindi na po rush yung order? Just like in number 3. What is the total billing price? So, total billing price, then mag-solve po tayo ng DM, DL, and OH. Magkano DM? Same lang, 80,000. Magkano DL? Yun lang. Ang DL mo ngayon, dahil hindi rush, ito lang pong part na to. 90 times 8 times 100. So that would be 72,000. Oops, magkaiba sila ng DL. Dito, 100,800. Dito, 72,000. Magkano overhead natin? Lalong iba. So 72,000 times 2/3. The answer is 48,000. Kung mapapansin mo, same lang naman yung problem natin. Rush lang yung isa hindi. So magkano yung total cost natin? Dito na lang po. So 48,000 plus 72,000 plus 80,000. So that would be total amount is 200,000. Ayan. Magkano per unit? Divide mo po ng 10,000. The answer is 20 pesos per unit. I-match lang po natin dito. Magkano selling price? 1.4. So 20 times 1.4 is 28 pesos. Compare lang po natin yung unit selling price. So normal job, 28 pesos lang ang benta. Pag rush, 34.72. So it only shows na kapag rush po yung job, mas napapamahal po yung customer. Pero ang tanong po is not the unit sales price, but total billing price. So ang total cost natin ay 200,000. Multiply po natin na 1.4. So the answer is 280,000. So that's the answer in number 3. 280,000. Okay. So let's proceed. Let's just show the answers. So ayan po, yung answer natin dun sa problem. Okay. If you have a question, please don't forget to put that in our chat box. Otherwise, I will just continue with our discussion. Oops, check lang, mukhang may chat po tayo. Sir, if rush po, included pa rin po ba yung shift premium sa work-in process? Yung OT premium po yung pinag-uusapan po natin ha. So, that would be charge po sa working process. Yes. Rush po yan eh. Saka overtime po yung pinag-uusapan natin. Wala po dun sa normal na oras natin. So, overtime premium would be charged to working process if that is rush. Okay? Otherwise, the overtime premium would be charged to the overhead. Sir, tanong ko lang po kung pwedeng 100 times 40% yung pagkuha sa OT premium. Yes po, 100 times 40%. Pakita lang po natin ha. 100, yung pong 90 times 100 times 8 hours. So that would be, tapos multiply natin ng 40%. Magkano po yun? 90 times 100 times 8 hours times 0.4. 28,000. Tama ba? 800. Ayan. Tapos yung basic pay po niya is 90 times 100 times 8, which is 72,000. Kaya pag pinagsama po, dahil rush po yung job natin is 100, 800. Ayan po yun. Okay? So kapag, ulitin po natin, kapag rush, ang DL mo, 100, 800. Pag hindi rush, ang DL mo, 72,000. Because this amount would be charged to overhead ng premium. Sir, kung ang hinahanap po ay yung total billing ni Rush, times lang po si total cost doon sa 1.4. Yes. Bakit times 1.4? Because the 40% is based on saan? Cost. Di ba? Pero po, kapag 40% lang ang sinabi na GP rate, ang gagawin po natin, whatever cost that we have, i-divide natin ng 60%. Okay? Kasi the basis now is sales. Ayan. So, just continue putting the questions in our chat box. Hindi ko naman sasabihin ko sino kayo, kaya wag po kayo mahiyang magtanong. Alright? Let's continue. Ano ba yung next natin na problem? Premiums. Oh, ito na. Puro premium, nagkasama-sama na lahat ng premium dito. Okay. So sabi po dito sa number 1, the amount charged to direct labor is blank. Sabi sa number 2, the amount charged to factory overhead is blank. Ano idea natin dito? Kung direct labor po yan, ibig sabihin work in process po. Kung factory overhead po yan, ibig sabihin po ito po yung mga premium natin. I mean, direct labor po yan, mga basic po. Tapos factory overhead, ito po yung mga premium natin. So let's read the problem. The following report pertains to the number of hours worked by 3 of the factory workers of BSA Corporation. So they work 8 hours per day. The labor rate per hour is 100 pesos. Tinan po natin trabaho ni Johan, ni Cyron, at ni Majoy. So Johan po, addict sa trabaho, 20 hours nagtrabaho sa isang araw. So 4 hours na lang pahinga niya. Si Cyron, 14 hours. Actually, addict silang tatlo, pero pinaka-addict lang magtrabaho talaga si Johan. Now, ang tanong, amount charged to direct labor. Alam niyo po, pag direct labor ang tanong, masayang sagutan kasi mas madali po pag direct labor ang tanong. Why? Sabi natin, all the number of hours, may basic po yan. So that is the amount of your direct labor. Ilang oras ang trinabaho ng tatlo? 20, 14, and 12. Ilang oras po lahat yun? That would be 46 hours, right? Multiply po natin ang rate nila, which is 100, yung basic. So that is the answer in number 1, 4,600. Ganun po kadali kapag direct labor yung tanong. So, wag po malilito. Basta direct labor ang tanong, hanapin kung ilang oras ang trinabaho, regardless kung overtime man yan or hindi. Basta, number of hours, yung basic amount doon would be charged to direct labor. Okay, I hope that was clear. Number 2, yung overhead ang matrabahong computein. Ano-ano ba yung overhead na meron tayo dito? Number 1, OT, premium. Magkano OT premium natin? Bilangan na lang natin, ilan yung sobra sa 8 oras? 20 to, so meron tayong 12 na OT. 14, so may OT tayo na 6. Dito po, ilan ang OT natin? 4. Ilan lahat ng OT natin? 22 hours. Ayun na. So 22 hours times. Magkano per hour? 100. Ano ang OT na premium natin? Ilang percent? May sinabi po ba? Kung ilang percent po ang OT natin? Johan and Cyron are receiving 20% shift premium during the morning shift only, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Maybe yan yung hindi masyadong convenient na time for the company. The company's policy rather on overtime is time and a half. So ibig sabihin, multiply mo to ng 50%. So that's your overtime na premium. So 22 times 100 times 0.5 and that is 1,100. Anong premium pa nakikita mo? Ayun o, sumisigaw yung shift premium. Magkano shift premium? Anong oras ba yung may shift premium? 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tingnan nyo po, ilang oras ba yung nasa 6 a.m. to 2 p.m.? Ayun. Ayun. Ilang oras lahat? 16 hours times 100 pesos times ilang percent ng premium? 20%. So 16 times 100 times 20%, so that would be 320. Okay? May premium ka pa bang nakikita? Nakikita pa po bang premium? Or ito na po ang sagot natin, 1,420. Anyone? May premium pa ba tayo nakikita? Meron pa ba? Meron po nagtatago.
Night shift.
Premium or night shift premium. Bakit? May nagtrabaho po beyond 10 p.m. So sabi natin, kahit hindi sabihin, meron pong 4 hours times 100 pesos times ilang percent? 10% po. Ayan. So magkano po yun? Ay, hindi lang ba? Ito po pala. Naku, magagalit si Majoy pag kinulangan ko yung payroll niya. Meron pa po si Majoy na 4 hours. Ang dami ko na kasing bilog. So ang total number of hours na nasa night ay 8 hours po. Ayan. So total po natin ay 80. So magkano na lahat ng premium natin? 1,500. So that's the amount charged to factory overhead, 1,500. So let's just reveal the answer. Ayan. So tama na. Ayan. So this time we will talk about gross earnings of employees. Unless you have questions, we will proceed with this learning objective number 3. Gross earnings of employees. So procedures of recording payroll, let us just go through these procedures. Recording of number of hours in total and by job. Okay? Recording of quantity produced by the workers. So, di ba? Depende sa number of units yung sweldo ng iba. Iba naman, depende sa number of hours. Okay, number 3. Analyzing the hours used by employees to determine how time is to be charged. Why? Because there are a number of hours charged to direct labor or working process. There are hours like the idle time charged to factory overhead. Okay? Next, allocation of payroll costs to jobs and to factory overhead. Ako, sinabi ko na. Yun po yung explanation ko sa number 3. And then number 5, preparation of the payroll. That means computing or recording of the employees' gross earnings, deductions, and net earnings or net pay or take-home pay ng mga employees. Okay? So payroll deductions, ano ba kasi mga dinededuct na sa payroll ng mga empleyado? Ayan po. These are deducted from the employees' gross pay, SSS or Social Security System, yung contribution po nila. We also have Philippine Health Insurance Corporation or PhilHealth. We also have HDMF or Pag-ibig Home Development Mutual Fund. And meron po, siyempre, if the employees are taxable, so withholding taxes on compensation, that would be remitted to BIR. And minsan, may mga loans kasi employees sa company or kung ano man yung may loans din sa SSS, di ba? Isa sa mga benefits ng mga empleyado, yung mga nagko-contribute doon, they are entitled para makapag-loan sa SSS. Sa Pag-ibig, pwede po silang mag-loan dyan. Or inside the company, if there are cooperatives inside the company, so dinededuct din po sa payroll yung mga collections po from the employees. Ayan, so these are the deductions. Kaya ngayon po, mag-aaral tayo mag-payroll. So that later on, kapag may sarili ka ng business, hindi mo lang kailangan mag-hire ng payroll accountant. Or gusto mo mag-payroll. Or if your parents have business, so maybe you could assist them by doing the payroll. O kung hindi man by doing the payroll, by assisting or by checking the payroll na ginagawa ng mga accountants ng parents nyo. Okay. So payroll deductions, employees' income tax. The amount of tax to be withheld each period depends on the following. Siyempre, yung amount ng employee's earnings, mas malaki ang sweldo ng employee, mas malaki yung tax niya. Okay? And then the frequency of the payroll period. So, nagpe-payroll, meron po tayong mga companies na ang payroll nila once a month. Medyo mahirap mag-budget nun. Kasi minsan ka lang susweldo sa buong buwan, kung napalakas ka ng gastos agad, malayo pa bago ka sumweldo ulit. May mga companies na twice a month. Yun po yung mga common talaga na yung sinabi nilang quincenas katapusan, 15th and end of the month. Iba naman, wala naman quincenas katapusan. Iba naman, 5th and 20th. Depende po sa company. Pero yung frequency of the payroll, yung iba once a month, yung iba twice a month, yung iba naman po every week mag-payroll. Yung iba naman po every day o yung arawan na sinasabi na pag magtrabaho ka ngayon, pag uwi mo, kuha mo na yung sweldo mo net of the income tax. Okay? So, we have SS, premiums levied against both the employer and the employee based on the table provided. So, pabago-bago po yan halos every year na lately, no? Kaya hopefully, ang nakuha niyong SSS table ay yung 2020. Okay. Pansinin, both employer at saka employee. So employee and employer share. Itong employee, dinededuct natin sa empleyado. Employer, ito yung charge natin sa overhead. Fill out contributions levied against both the employer and employee. Again, employer and the employee in equal amount. So whatever it is na na-compute nyo as employee share, that is also the amount of your employer share. HDMF contributions levied against both the employer and employee. Again, may employer and employee share. So again, this is for OH. And again, in equal amounts. Okay? So, kung mapapansin mo, sa withholding tax lang, walang employer and employee. Employee lang po yun. Okay? Ayan. So, pag-ibig fund contribution. So, employees earning not more than 1,500, 1% po yan. May mga empleyado pa ba na sumasweldo na 1,000 pesos lang per month? Possible po. Depende po yan depende po talaga yan. Maaring meron pa rin. Kung ang sweldo nila ay 1,000, yung 1% po, yan po yung pag-ibig share nila. Magkano ba 1% niyan? 10 pesos. Employees earning more than 1,500 per month, yun po ang charge ng, yun po ang magko-contribute ng 2%. 2% of 1,500, magkano yung 30 pesos. Yan po kapag 1,500 ang sweldo mo. Sabi rito, 2% of the employee of the monthly compensation of the contributing employees. Ibig sabihin, employees po to ha, employer naman tong isa. 2% i-deduct sa employee. Whatever amount na ma-deduct dyan, yun din yung amount na idadagdag ng employer as employer's contribution. May importanteng note po dito. Note that the maximum monthly compensation to be used in computing employee and employer share for pag-ibig po ito ha, shall not be more than 5,000. Ibig sabihin, ang pinaka-ceiling niya ay 5,000. So ano ba yung 2% ng 5,000? 100. Kung ang sweldo ng empleyado ay 20,000, ang maximum na i-charge lang ay 5,000, 100 pa rin ang pag-ibig nating contribution. Okay? Kung umabot ng 100,000 na sweldo, magkano pag-ibig contribution niya? 100 pesos pa rin. Okay? Because again, sabi rito, the maximum monthly compensation to be used is shall not be more than 5,000. Okay. Oh, this is just an example. Ito na po yung mga pinagawa kasi. No? A monthly payroll data. Wait lang, may question po ata tayo. So let's entertain the question first. 50%. Thank you. Tapos, sir, lahat po ba ng deductions ay based sa gross pay? Hindi po. Hindi po. Sa basic pay po tayo nagbe-base para sa SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig. Kaya po gusto ko talaga na mauna kayong mag-aral, mag-payroll, so that this time, clarification, correction, or confirmation yung mangyayari sa inyo. So, sir, lahat po ba ay ng deductions ay based sa gross pay? The answer is no. Okay? So, the monthly, gross ba yung sinabi ko kanina? I'll check na yung mga pinagsasabi ko. Sabi lang po dito, monthly compensation. Pero mamaya, sabihin natin kung anong compensation yung basis. Okay, so employee, si Mr. A, ang rate niya per hour ay 150 pesos. And then the number of hours worked rather is 166 hours. Classification, factory worker. Ayan. So this time, additional information lang, hours worked in excess of 160 working hours are considered overtime. Ilang oras ang trinabaho niya? 166. Automatic na may 6 hours na OT. Okay? Withholding taxes on compensation are computed after deducting mandatory employee contributions. So ibig sabihin, yung mga SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, i-minus mo muna bago ka mag-compute ng tax. Because these are computed, because withholding tax are computed after deducting these contributions. And sabi rito, observe lower of 2% or 100 limit on HDMF premium contributions. Actually, ito alam na po natin na pag sumobra ng 5,000 or 5,000 and even greater than 5,000, the amount of HDMF premium is 100. Okay? Overtime premium is 40% of the employee's basic rate. Sir, akala ko 25. Yes, 25 sa batas, pero the company can always choose na magbigay more than yung sinabi ng batas. Okay. Meron pong question dito, Sir, why po sa mga payroll calculator sinasama yung overtime? Okay. Sabi po natin ulit, the minimum ayon sa nasusulat ay basic. So, hindi sinasama yung overtime. Why? Ito rin po yan. Pag sinama po ang overtime na basis sa contribution sa SSS PhilHealth Pag-ibig, tataas po lagi yung kanilang contribution. Pero ang sabi po sa nasusulat, basic po ang basis. So, kapag sinabi sa problem na ang SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, i-base natin sa kasamang overtime, pwede naman. Pero it has to be cleared sa empleyado. It has to be cleared right from the start. And it has to be stated in the problem. Pero pag wala, automatic po na sa basic po tayo magbe-base. Okay, another question before we move on. Sir, so pag below 1,500 po ang monthly, hindi po magiging equal ang Pag-ibig contributions kasi 1% po for employee, tapos 2% po kay employer. Sabi po niya, 2% or 100 na limit. Tapos sabi rin po niya, babalik ko lang po dito sa Pag-ibig. Levied against both the employer and employee in equal amounts. Ito, ang employer naman, 2% of the monthly compensation of the contributing employees. So, I guess itong statement na to, baka ito yung nakagulo sa atin. So, it has to be clear. Dapat equal din po yung amount. Okay? Equal po yung amount. Siguro ang gusto sabihin dito, up to 2% din. Okay? Yan. So, check natin baka may follow-up na tanong before I proceed. Sir, hindi po ba sa gross yung SSS and Pag-ibig ay yung PhilHealth is sa basic? Ay, teka lang. Medyo nalito ako doon. Sir, hindi po ba sa gross yung SSS and Pag-ibig and yung PhilHealth is sa basic? Pare-parehas po yan na sa basic po titingin. Okay? But then again, tulad nga ng sabi ko, even the overtime pay has basic. Pero ang pinag-uusapan natin is the very basic of the payment. Makikita nyo po mamaya. Okay? Para maging mas malinaw, para mas ma-entertain natin yung questions nyo ng mas mabuti. Actually, question din po yan ng nakakarami. At klinaro na po natin yan before doon sa mga previous classes namin, of course. Siyempre, hindi pa naman sa inyo. But this time, for you to see what is the minimum required, siyempre, is the basic. So, pakita po natin. Oh, ayaw mag-proceed. Ayan. So, SSS, fill-out, and HDMF are deductible in full once every month. How much is the net pay of Mr. A, and how much would be the total employer's contribution of Mr. A? Ayan. Oops. Direct labor. Pakita po muna natin direct labor. Saan galing yung direct labor na to? Ito po yung 166 times, magkano ang rate niya? 150. Tama po ba? Na 24,900, 166 times 150. Yes, 24,900. OT premium, paano na kuya OT premium? Di ba 6 hours yung OT niya? Times 150. Ilang percent ang premium? 40%. So 6 times 150 times 0.4. So that is 360 pesos. So the total earnings is 25 to 60. But magkano po ba yung basic na tinutukoy natin na paghahanapan mo sa SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig? Is it 24,900? Ito po kasi yung basic natin, di ba? Ito yung basic kasama yung OT. Pero ang basic mo lang po talaga is based on, dito na lang, 160 hours. I-multiply po natin siya sa 150. So that's 160 times 150. So the answer is 24,000. That's the basic pay na hahanapin mo kay SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig, not including the overtime. Okay? So I hope that answers the question. Sir, PhilHealth lang po ba? It's also with SSS and Pag-ibig. Sir, why would the company choose na 166 times 150? Pwede ba yun? Wala namang problema if the company and the employee choose that way. Why? Kasi in that way, mas mataas yung contribution. Pero alam nyo, minsan kasi, ang dating sa mga empleyado, ang laki naman deduction ko, parang burden yan sa kanila. While in fact, ito talaga ay benefit ng mga empleyado because that entitles them with a SSS loan, whether salary loan, pwedeng housing, and other types of loans sa SSS. But then again, ito po ay nakabase sa kung ano yung basic na dapat na ma-earn talaga ng empleyado. So how do we compute for SSS contribution, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig? So puntahan po natin table natin. Tandaan po 24,000 tayo. Ayan, so here is your SSS effective April 2019. 24,000, sobra-sobra naman po tayo. Nandito po tayo. So magkano yung employee contribution? Meron po tayong ER. Meron po tayong EE. Doble po ang share ng employer sa atin. So 800 po ang share natin. Kasi hanapin yung 24,000. It belongs to the bracket na 19,750 and above. So 800 po. So tandaan, for SSS, 800 po ang ating contribution. Next. For PhilHealth, monthly basic salary. Hindi po yung 24,900 but the 24,000. Okay? Bumultiply po natin ng 3%. Magkano yung 3% na 24,000? 24,000 times 0.03. So that's 720. O ano pa yung kulang natin? Hati po sila dyan ng employer. So divide mo na 2. So that's 360. Okay? So, tandaan po yun. How about for Pag-ibig? 24,000 po yan. Anong cap natin? 1.5. So therefore, 2% ng 1.5. Ang cap natin ay 5,000 rather. So, nasa 2% po tayo. Ito yata yung sinasabi niyo po kanina. If 1.5 and below, employer share will still be 2%. na hindi siya maging equal. Pero based on the definition kanina, that would be levied pero with equal amounts. For the for 1.5 and below, 1,000 yung sweldo, so 1% yan ay 10 pesos, magkano kay employer share 20. So naging 30 yung contribution. Okay? So yan pala yung sinasabi nyo kanina. That's correct. Okay? Pero si over 1.5, parehas na po siya talagang 2%. So generally kasi, ewan ko meron pa rin naman siguro na ang sweldo ay 1,000, pero wala naman na yata talaga na ang sweldo is below 1.5. Kaya automatic, hindi naman automatic, palagi po sa mga payroll, 100 talaga nakalagay sa pag-ibig. Actually, meron po ngayong bago pa ang pag-ibig na kapag the employees want na mas mataas sa 100 ang contribution, pwede naman po. And that would earn some parang promising na interest. So dyan lumalabas na nagiging 2% na lang kay employer pero the employee could share more than 2%. So habang tumatagal, marami pong changes na nangyayari. So ito po yung atin ngayon. And then right now, yun nga, yung may option. Pwedeng 500 na extra. So the entire contribution ng employee ay 600 na. Pwede naman ng 1,000, pwedeng, depende po. Yun po yung tinatawag nila na modified pag-ibig 2. Pero for classroom purposes, dito po tayo sa pag-ibig contribution table na ito magbe-base. Okay? So, hindi naman po siguro magsasabi sa examiner na nag-apply siya ng modified pag-ibig 2 na meron siyang extra na pinapadeduct. But just in case na merong modified pag-ibig 2, edi isama mo lang po sa deduction yung nandito. But generally, equal nga po yung amount ng employee at employer share. Generally. Okay? So, magkano po ang share natin ngayon? This is for 100 pesos. Kaya let's show all the deductions here. So, 800 for SSS, PhilHealth 360, and pag-ibig na 100. So, total earnings, deductions natin is 1,260. From the 3, 1,260. And then the total earnings before withholding taxes would be 24,000. Okay? So itong 24,000 na to, ito po yung ating taxable income. Hindi po yung 25,260. 24,000 lang po ang ating taxable income. Paano tayo magko-compute ng tax? Let's use the withholding tax table. Ang payroll po natin is once a month. Ito pong 24,000. So therefore, pagpunta mo sa withholding taxes table, pupunta ka, meron po ditong daily, weekly, meron din po tayong semi-monthly, meron po tayong monthly. Monthly po ang payroll natin. Dito po tayo titingin. Magkano sweldo niya? 24,000. Tingin po tayo kung saang column siya makakasama. Okay? If you look here sa monthly, ang kung ang sweldo niya ay 20,833 and below, dito po siya sa bracket na yan. Ang sweldo po niya ay 20,833 and above, dito po sa bracket na ito makakasama. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, for the first 20,833, wala po siyang tax, 0. Pero, yung excess, 20% po. Okay? 20% ng excess yung magiging tax natin. Halimbawa, 80,000 ang sweldo niya per month, yung taxable income. 80,000 is nandito sa number 4. So for 80,000, yung first 66,667, ang tax po niyan ay 10,833.33. So whatever excess that we have, that will be multiplied by 30% and that will be the total tax. Okay? So in our case, 24,000 po yung taxable income. So dito po tayo sa column 2. So let's show. Again, for the first 20,833, wala pong tax. And then for the next 3,167, meron po tayo 20% na tax. So withholding tax for the period for Mr. A is 633.40. So, ayan po. Ayan yung kanina. So ito yung withholding tax natin, 633.4. Ito na po yung total deductions natin kasama ni withholding tax, 1893.4. So ang net pay po ni Mr. A ay 23,366.60. Ito talaga yung gross niya, pero ito lang yung maiuwi niya because of this deductions. Anong entry natin dito? Debit, work in process, 24,900. What else? Debit, factory overhead, magkano? 360. Ano pong credit mo? SSS, payable, 800. PhilHealth payable, 360. What else? HDMF, payable, magkano? 100. What else? Withholding taxes payable, magkano? 633.40. Kinapos po ako para sa isa pang credit. Ang another credit, dito na lang natin nilagay is the accrued payroll na 23,366.60. Yan po yung net pay ng empleyado. Kung hindi pa natin nababayaran, park muna siya sa accrued payroll. Pero kung babayaran na siya, of course, debit accrued payroll and credit cash amounting to 23,366.60. Tapos pag magre-remit na tayo sa different agencies, so kasama na po yung employer share. So ang wala lang employer share dito ay yung withholding taxes payable. But the SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig, meron pong share si employer. Okay? Ayan. So let's continue with payroll distributions. So meron po tayong question muna. Entertain muna natin yung question natin. Lang for a while. $24,000. Thank you for answering. So sir, clarification lang po. So if ever halimbawa po 1,200 sweldo ng employee, ang total Pag-ibig share na po ay 36 pesos. Yung i-remit mo po sa HDMF, sa Pag-ibig? Yes po, kasi 1% and 2%. Tama ka po doon. Magkano po per employer share? Balikan po natin. Oo nga, no? Very good, very good. Thank you for asking that. Magkano po ang employer share? Yan, balik lang po tayo dun sa previous na slide natin. Ayan, employer share po. SSS, employer share. So maglilipat-lipat lang ako ng slide. SSS po muna ang punta natin. I'll go back to the SSS na table. Ayan, employer share po natin dito ay, meron po kasi tayo ER dito na 1,600. I hope you can still see or you have your own SSS table. Tapos meron po tayong easy contribution na 30. So, kung mapapansin mo, yung employer share originally, doble ng share natin. Pero meron po tayo kasing easy na madadagdag. So, ang total employer share talaga for SSS ay 1,630. Okay? So, tanda po muna natin, 1,630. Paano naman sa PhilHealth? Same amount. Paano sa Pag-ibig? Same amount. So, balik po tayo dito para mas klaro. Ang employer share, magkano lahat to? 1,630. Sa PhilHealth, magkano po? Equal amount, 360. Sa Pag-ibig, 100. Anong entry po natin dito? So dito na lang po sa gitna, debit, factory overhead. Magkano po yung total niyan? So 1,630 plus 360 plus 100. So that would be 2,090. So debit factory overhead, 2,090. And credit, SSS, payable, 1,630. And credit again, PhilHealth, payable, 360. And another credit, HDMF payable na 100. So yan po yung entry natin for the employer share. Kaya naman, kapag po tayo ay nag-remit na sa SSS, dito na lang po ako, remittance. Sulat ko lang, remittance po sa iba't ibang agencies. Debit, SSS, payable, and credit cash. Magkano po? 1,630 at saka 800. So that's 2,430. So magkasama na po yung employee and employer share. So for PhilHealth, debit, PhilHealth payable na 720 and credit cash na 720. Okay? How about for Pag-ibig? Debit, HDMF payable na 200 and credit cash na 200. Okay? Ayan. So that's for employer share. Thanks for reminding me. I almost forgot to include the employer share. I'll check. Thank you. You're welcome. All right. So let's continue with payroll distributions. So example, the Focus Manufacturing Company pays employees every 2 weeks. Monday, June 1 is the beginning of a new payroll period. The following payroll summary is prepared by the payroll department and forwarded to accounting for recording. So, record lang natin. So, we have here payroll for June 1 to 14. We have factory employees, sales and administrative employees, and total payroll. Okay? So, we have here the following deductions. For factory employees, we have here mga ito. For withholding taxes, we have for SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig. Total na po ito. Ito ay payroll register. So, ang gagawin po natin, i-distribute natin or i-record natin in account. Sa accounting department, i-record po natin to. So, magkano total payroll natin? 130,000. Okay, so anong entry natin for this one? Reveal natin. I think this is part of your activity. June 1, i-record muna natin yung payroll natin. So debit, payroll na 130,000. And then credit, withholding taxes payable, SSS contribution payable, PhilHealth contribution payable, HDMF contribution payable, and salaries and wages payable. Para saan to? Para po sa net pay. Balikan po natin sandali yung kabila. Ito po yung net pay. Ito po yung mga contributions na credit natin. So kung dito ka titingin, para sa exam, so debit payroll na 130,000. Anong position ng payroll mo? Ito po mga ito. Credit, withholding taxes payable, 14,400. Credit, SSS contribution payable, 4,280. And credit, PhilHealth payable, 5,250. Credit, HDMF payable, or Pag-ibig payable na 2,600. And this one is salaries and wages payable or accrued payroll, 108,195. Paano pagbabayaran na natin? Debit, accrued payroll or salaries and wages payable, and credit to cash. Yun po yung entry natin sa pangalawa. Ito po, pag binayaran na natin yung empleyado dun sa payroll natin. Alright? Pero, bilang cost accountant, paano mo i-record yung payroll na to? So, balik lang po tayo. Itong sales and admin, part na siya ng OPEX, right? Ito po yung part ng magiging direct labor or direct labor or indirect labor natin. Kaso hindi naman sinabi. So, let's just go back here. Ayan. Assuming lang that the factory payroll of 100,000, if you remember, ito, factory payroll of 100,000, balik po tayo. 30% po dun daw ay indirect labor. So the entry to record the distribution of the payroll is debit, work in process, 70,000 for the DL. Debit, factory overhead control for the IL, 30,000. Debit, salaries and selling and administrative expense na 30,000 and credit, payroll 130,000. Kung mapapansin mo, para mo lang na-reclassify yung payroll into different accounts na specific, depende po kung saan dapat siya mapunta. Kung DL man siya, work in process. Kung IL man siya, factory overhead. At kung OPEX siya, that will be part of the selling and administrative expense. We have a question, so let's just check. Sir, saan po mapupunta ang employer share ng selling? Mukhang nasagot na natin, no? Sir, saan po mapupunta ang employer's share ng selling personnel? So, sa selling and administrative expenses din po. Ang nagkaroon lang naman ng confusion kasi di ba kapag selling and administrative personnel, matik po siya sa selling and administrative expenses. Kapag po overhead, ibig sabihin yung mga supervisor and plant manager, part po siya talaga ng overhead. It so happen, exception to the rule, yung direct laborer, benefit nila yung employer share, pero hindi siya as direct labor, ilalagay po siya sa overhead. Okay, yun lang naman yung naiba. So, sabi dito, Sir, sa pinapasagutan nyo po or pinasagutan nyo po, walang assumption for DL and IDO. Ito. Walang assumption for DL and indirect labor. No problem. So, anong ginawa nyo kung walang assumption sa DL and indirect labor? Nilagay mo sa working process lahat? Wala namang problema kasi hindi naman naging malinaw sa examiner. Pero just in case, yes, okay lang naman po. But just in case na may distribution, ganito po yung entry natin. So debit to working process kapag DL, debit to factory overhead control kapag indirect labor, and debit selling and administrative expense kapag selling and admin or OPEX. Let me check. Buo sa week, it's okay. Okay? Kasi hindi naman nagbigay sa examiner. Or ako, hindi pala ako nagbigay ng assumption on that part. Sir, may pinagkaiba po ba yung voucher payable sa salaries and wages payable? Depende po sa company yan, no? Pero kasi yung voucher payable, kasi they are using yung voucher system, no? Kaya lang nagkaroon ng gano'n. Pero yung chart of accounts ng company, you have to check. Sometimes, yun nga, yung accrued payroll pa lang and salaries and wages payable. So, iba yung function. Ang importante dito, if you are working in a real company na, you have to check the chart of accounts and their use talaga. Okay? Pero kung kayong gagawa ng chart of accounts, so kayo yung magde-define kung ano yung gamit ng mga, kung gagamitin mo ba yung salaries and wages payable or accrued payroll. Okay? Or baka gusto mong gamitin, voucher payable. Okay? May pinagkaiba po ba? Depende sa company. Kung i-define niya na ang salaries and wages payable ay para sa ganito lang, ang voucher payable could be more general. So, depende po sa company. Okay? Pero sa exam, hindi naman po masyadong gagamitin yung voucher payable para po dito sa mga payroll. Okay? Hindi masyado. So let's continue. Unless you have a question, ilagay lang sa chat box, sasagutin natin mamaya. Employer's payroll contribution. Ayan, kaya pala hindi ko siningit kanina kasi ito pa lang yung part na yun. But anyways, nasagutan na natin kanina yung employer's contribution. So these are not deducted from the employee's gross pay, but are remitted and paid by the employer to the respective agencies for the benefit of the employee. Kumbaga, dinadagdagan lang nila yung contribution. Kaya lumalaki yung contribution ng employee pagdating sa agency na either SSS, pwede ring PhilHealth, or HDMF, or Home Development Mutual Fund. Yun. Parang sa Home Development Mutual Fund, 100 lang dineduct sa'yo. Pero pagdating sa pag-ibig, 200 ang contribution mo because of the employer share. That's additional benefit that we could get from our employers. Okay? And actually, mandated naman po talaga ang mga organizations ngayon, ang mga private organizations na mag-deduct, na magkaroon ng SSS contribution, employer share, and of course, mag-deduct sa mga empleyado. Mandatory naman po yun. Tapos PhilHealth, regardless kung private or public or government, dinededuct po yan. Same with pag-ibig. Okay? Meron po tayong pahabol na question before I proceed with the next slide. Aha. Ito, pakita ng question mo. Ayan. Sir, if ever po ba sa exam natin, ano po yung prefer ninyong account na gagamitin? Salaries and wages payable or accrued payroll po? That's a good question. Kahit noong basic accounting ninyo, if merong chart of accounts na given, you have to strictly follow yung chart of accounts. Pero kung walang chart of accounts given, the examiner could consider any or either of the answer. Because hindi ko masasabi na dapat salaries and wages payable lang. Hindi ko masasabi na dapat na accrued. Because wala naman akong binigay na chart of accounts at hindi po yun mali. Okay? So, again, pag may chart of accounts, you have to follow that. Halimbawa, sa chart of accounts, salaries and wages payable, hindi mo gagamitin yung accrued payroll. Para sa tunay na buhay din, if your system, yung accounting system mo, salaries and wages payable ang gamit, kahit anong gawin mo, wala kang entrada na magagawa for accrued payroll. Parang ganun po yun. Alright? So, tinanong mo kung ano yung mas gusto ko, wala naman po. Pero again, depende sa chart of accounts. Okay po? Ayan. So, let's continue. Ayan, saan ba tayo? Ayan. Employers are responsible for periodically reporting and paying the taxes to the appropriate government agencies. Yes po. Kapag po hindi or when the employers fail to file required reports or pay taxes due, they are subject to civil and in some cases, criminal penalties. So pag nagtrabaho po kayo someday, make sure if you work in private, dapat mayroong SSS, fill out ng pag-ibig. If you work in government, syempre meron tayong GSIS naman po dyan, counterpart ng SSS, fill out and pag-ibig. Pag-ibig talaga. Pag-ibig na naman. Pag-ibig as well. So pag wala pong ganong mga deductions, ay pwede po kayong mag-report. Dahil required po talaga na meron po niyan. Okay? Kasi when we retire someday, that would be of great help. Kasi when we retire, we become older, we become less capable of working. So we do not earn as much as we earn during the younger days. So talagang, ito na yung time na ginagamit natin yung retirement benefits that we got because nagkaroon tayo ng contributions mula nung nagtatrabaho tayo. Yun po yung ibig sabihin or essence nitong mga contributions na to. Ayan. So again, pag nagtrabaho someday at wala yung mga yan, pwede po kayo magsumbong. Ibig sabihin, may something na mali sa company or baka hindi sila registered. Okay? Pero nako, since ito po ay recorded, nako, kung may mga companies pa rin po talaga na walang SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig, and which is very wrong. Or baka hindi lang sila makaregister nowadays, wag naman natin husgahan because of the pandemic na situation. But dapat kayo, make sure that you have those things. Kaya pag nag-apply kayo ng work someday, hinihingan kayo ng requirements. Dapat meron kang SSS number, PhilHealth number, Pag-ibig number, and of course, tax identification number or TIN. Ayan. So employer's contribution. So the following schedule provides the information necessary to record the employer's payroll taxes for the period. So we have here a factory payroll for SSS premium, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig. Ang total ay 7,442. Selling and admin 3,540, 150, 600. The total is 4,290. So ano pong entry natin dito? Yung para sa factory payroll po, yun po ay papasok saan? Sa factory overhead. Yung selling and admin po, saan siya papasok? Sa selling and administrative expenses. So anong entry natin? Debit. Factory overhead control for the 7,442. Debit 4,290 for selling and administrative expenses. And then naka-breakdown lang po into SSS payable, PhilHealth payable, Pag-ibig or HDMF contributions payable. Okay, so that's the entry for employers, payroll contribution. All right. Baka po may tanong before I proceed with our practice na payroll. May nag-raise po sa akin, sir, yung pong payroll ni Jansen Kang at saka ni Javier Lorena ay parehas na parehas. Oo nga, napansin ko. Pero posible ba mangyari yan sa tunay na buhay? Of course. Sabay na sabay sila ng shift. Pero syempre, yung sagot natin kay Jansen Kang, that is also our answer kay Javier Lorena. Ayan. So let's have this sample payroll po So, sa lahat ng payroll, dapat alam muna natin yung policy. So, ang cut-off po ay 1 to 15, 16 to end of the month. Sabi rito, payout to employees is 5 days after cut-off. What does it mean? Yung 1 to 15, ang sweldo niyan on the 20th. Kaya baka mamaya may mga kilala kayong empleyado na hindi naman sumasweldo ng kinsenas katapusan kasabay ng iba. The reason is, ang payout ay 5 days after the cut-off. Yung 16 to end of the month, kailan babayaran? 5th of the following month. Okay? Ayan, kaya at the end of the month, ang entrada niyan, nakalutang pa rin yung accrued payroll natin. So sa 20th and 5th natin, i-debit yung accrued payroll and credit cash. Okay, what else to note? Withholding taxes, or withholding tax is deducted every payroll cut-off. So dalawang beses ka magpe-payroll, 1 to 15 at saka 16 and, to end of the month. And your SSS, PhilHealth, pag-ibig contributions are deducted from the 16 end of the month cut-off. Ibig sabihin, one time lang, magdededuct ng SSS, PhilHealth, and pag-ibig. Kaya, ang mga ibang empleyado, dito, 1 to 15, madaming pera yan. Bakit? Tax lang ang dinededuct. Pero 16 to end of the month, medyo malungkot yan. Kasi lahat ng deductions nandyan po kasi sa 16 to end of the month na cut-off. Kaya naman dapat yung makikita ko sa payroll na ginawa ninyo, sa 1 to 15, tax lang ang dapat na makita ko dyan. Pero sa 16 to end of the month, dapat kompleto yung SSS, PhilHealth, pag-ibig, and the tax. Pero syempre, since ito ay dinededuct, sa once a month lang or sa dulo lang ng month, dapat ang basis nito is yung total na payroll niya sa 1 to 15 at saka 16 to end of the month. Okay, so proceed tayo . So ito yung si Jansen Kang. Factory worker, ang rate niya ay 150 pesos per hour. Okay? Actually sa tunay na buhay, sa factory worker, hindi po ito makatotohanan. I think lower po in the Philippines. I'm not so sure. So usually a factory worker is earning minimum wage. So 521 divided by 8, 65 pesos and something per hour. Yun yung rate ng mga factory workers. Okay, so medyo may, ewan ko, baka special lang si Jansen Kang. So ang pinasok niya, September 1 to 15, 13 days siya pumasok, 126 hours ang work niya. Even if the problem will not tell you kung 8 hours per day, automatic po yun, 8 hours per day po tayo. This work ng 16 to 30th, 12 days lang siya nag-work, 121 hours. Let me just check yung message po, baka po may kinalaman sa dinidiscuss ko right now. Sir, possible po ba maging semi-monthly deductions yung mga mandatory deductions sa employee? Yes po, possible po na semi-monthly. So, mag-deduct ka sa semi-monthly, titingin ka pa rin sa table kung saan siya mag-fall na bracket. Pero definitely, yung first half niyan, medyo lower nga. So, pag tingin mo sa dulo, yun lang ang medyo mahirap. Kaya yung iba, once a month lang mag-deduct. Diba? 1 to 15. Nag-deduct ka ng SSS without and pag-ibig, which is smaller. Pag end of the month, mag-deduct ka na naman. Pero, you have to check the entire amount ng basic mo muna for the entire month. Tapos, kung pag tumingin ka sa bracket, edi mas mataas, ima-minus mo yung dati mong dineduct. Okay? So, hindi ka magdadalawang tingin na magkahiwalay. Kailangan, for the entire month, tingnan mo yung yes, monthly compensation po. So, yung 1 to 15, kalahati lang ng buwan na sweldo mo yon. Pwede ka mag-SSS, PhilHealth, and pag-ibig, pang kalahati lang po yon. Pero, to correct that, at the end of the month, pag tingin mo sa end of the month, you have to check the entire or the total basic for the month. So, kung ano yung mag-fall, halimbawa lang po, 320 ang nakuha natin sa first half. And nung nag-second half ka na, pagsasamahin natin yung total na basic natin. If you look at that, 800 na po ang naging contribution. Since nag-deduct na ng 320 sa employee before, ang i-deduct na lang sa susunod ay 480 na lang. Dapat, at the end of the month, pag tinignan mo yung total na basic niya, hanggang 800 lang din po talaga yung ma-deduct sa kanya. O halimbawa, sa kabilang side tayo, 320. Lumabas, 760 lang ang dapat na SSS contribution niya for the entire month. Anong mangyayari? So, 760 minus 320, that's, tama ba math ko? 440. Yun na lang i-deduct mo sa susunod. Medyo matrabaho kasi if you divide into 2. Pero, kung ang tanong natin kung pwede, yes, pwede po. Matrabaho kasi i-deduct mo yung nandito after getting the total amount to be deducted based on the total basic ng month na yun. Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so let's go back kay Johnson Kang. Ito po yung, ay ba't lumitaw agad yung sagot? I'm sorry. Hindi bali, hindi ko nilatago, nakita nyo na. So direct labor ni Johnson Kang, saan nang galing to? Balik lang po ako dun sa ano. Kasi dito po 13 days times 8 hours. Ilang oras to? 104. Automatically, may nagtatagong 22 hours na overtime. Balik po tayo dito. Direct labor po. Ilang oras lahat? Ako nakalimutan ko. 126. 126 hours po ito times 150. Ang answer po ay 18,900. Tama po ba yung math natin? 126 150 times 150. You are correct, 18,900. So, ang factory overhead or OT premium, ilang oras yung OT? 22 hours times 150. Ano po ang sinabi tungkol sa OT? May sinabi ba? Wala. Kaya multiply natin ng 25%. So, 22 times 150 times 25%. So, that's 825. So, the total earnings ay 19,725. Okay? Bakit blanco to? Kasi sa 1 to 15, hindi pa po magdededuct ng SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig. Pero ito po ay total earnings before withholding taxes. So what do you expect sa tax? Mas malaki yan kasi walang deductions. So on taxable income, saan tayo titingin? Sa column we're in sa semi-annual, hanapin ko lang yung tax table. Dapat pala na-inext ko dito. So sa tax table, mabilis na balik lang. Oops, ayun. Sorry. Ayan. Dami sulat. So semi-monthly ang tingin po natin. Kasi twice a month po tayong nagdededuct ng taxes. Ang amount po ng taxable income ay 19,700 something. If you look at the columns, sa 3 siya nag-fall. For the first 16,667, 1,250 ang tax. And then the excess will be multiplied by 25%. So I'll go quickly dun sa part na yun. Ayan. So it's 1,250. And then for this one, 3,058 times 0.25. So that is 746.5. So ang total amount of your withholding tax ay 2,014.5. So sa payslip ni Johnson Kang, actually sa payslip ni Johnson Kang, hindi naman niya ano bang pakialam niya kung direct labor yung sweldo niya o factory overhead. Wala siyang pakialam doon. Makikita lang niya dyan, basic, OT premium, and total or gross income. Hindi po siya magka-classify ng sweldo niya. Bahala na po tayo doon. Okay? So basic, pero pinakita lang po natin, pero hindi po tumali pinakita lang natin yung distribution. Okay? So going back, so 19,725, ang deduction lang natin ay yung withholding taxes na 2,014.5. Ayan, so ang net pay niya ay 17,710.5. So ano entry natin dito? Debit, work in process, 18,900. Debit, factory overhead, magkano? 825. And credit, withholding taxes payable, magkano? 2014.15. And another credit, accrued payroll na 17,710.50. Ayan. Let me check. May nag-chat po. Ano po kaya ang question? Ayan. Sir, paano po pag nag-loan yung employee? Ganun pa rin po ba yung computation? Okay. Nice question. Kung may loan po yung employee natin, to arrive at taxable income, ito yung taxable income po natin hindi po natin i-deduct yung loan. Dahil yung loan ay personal po niya na transaction yun. Ang talagang may exempt lang ay yung mga contributions natin na to. Sabi sabihin, yung loans dito, kung ano mang klaseng loan, madededuct lang dito. Halimbawa, 1,000. The entire deduction is 3,014.50. So ang ating net pay ay 16,710.50. Paano yung 1,000? So, bayad lang natin to. Paano yung 1,000? Ito po ay magiging 16,710. Meron po dito, saan ba babayaran yung loan? Halimbawa, co-op. So, ang pangalan ng co-op ay RCR co-op. So, RCR na payable, so that would be 1,000. Payable to RCR rather, 1,000. Ganun po kapag may loan. So, makikita po sa payslip ni Johnson Kang yun. Ima-minus po sa kanya. Pero again, wala po yung kinalaman sa pagkuha ng contribution at wala rin po kinalaman yun sa pagkuha ng taxable income. Okay? Ayan. So, let's proceed sa September 16 to 30. September 16 to 30, ito po yung kinita niya. And then ito yung OT premium niya. Tapos, ang SSS contribution, alam naman natin na ito ay sobra-sobra na. Pero po, ang basis po nito sa SSS contribution ay magkano? Naka-base po ba siya? Alamin po natin na nakalimutan ko po ilang hours yung trinabaho dito. I have to go back. Ayan. 121 hours. So, I'll go back and then 12 days. Ayan. So, ito po ay 121 hours times 150 kaya 18,150. Pero, ang OT po natin dyan dahil 12 days lang po yan, 12 times 8, 96 lang po yung basic natin. So, meron po tayong OT na 121 minus 96. That would be 25 hours times 150 times 25%. So, 25 times 150 times 0.25. So, that's really 937.5. Pero ano po yung magiging basis natin dito? Sa pagkuha ng SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig na contribution. So kanina, ilang days? 13 days. Yung isa, 12 days. Total of 25 days. Ilang oras yun? 25 times 8. That is equivalent to 200 hours. At multiply na natin ng 150. Magkano lahat yun? Times 150? 30,000. So ang hahanapin mo po na basic dun sa SSS PhilHealth and Pag-ibig natin ay yung 30,000. Pinagsamang 1 to 15 at saka 16 sa end of the month. Nagkataon kasi na sa dulo mo lang lahat dinededuct. Pero kung meron kang dinededuct sa una, ima-minus mo po yung makuha mong amount dito. So SSS, alam naman natin na pag 30,000, lumagpas na sa pinakamataas na bracket. Kaya yung pinakamataas na deduction din po ilalagay 800. PhilHealth, 30,000 times 3% divided by 2. Kaya 450 po tayo. Pag-ibig, 100 pesos. Okay? Ayan. So, pagdating sa tax, magkano po ang titingnan natin sa tax? Isasama ba natin yung nauna? The answer is no. Kasi na-taxa na natin yung nauna. So, ito na ang titingnan natin sa withholding tax table. So, withholding tax table, magpo-fall siya sa same column, 16,667, ayan, 1,250. And then the 1,017.15 na excess, ang tax niya ay 267.63. Kaya ang total tax natin ay 1,517.63. Tapos, Ito po yung payslip niya. Again, ito ay makikita niya, hindi direct labor, kundi basic. And this is the OT premium. Okay? So, masasama na po yung withholding taxes here. And then the total amount of deduction is this one, 2867.63. So, ang net pay po niya ay 16,219.88. Entry, debit, work in process, 18,150. Debit, factory overhead, 937.50. Ano pa? Credit, SSS payable, 800. Ano pa? PhilHealth payable, 450. Ano pa? HDMF payable, 100. Ano pa? Withholding taxes payable na 1517.63. Ano pa? Net pay natin accrued payroll na 16,000. Wait lang. 16,219.88. Sir, bakit hindi balanse may 0.01? Due to rounding off. I think this one is 0.625 and this one is 0.875. Kaya makikita mo talaga siya na parang may sobrang 0.01. Ito ay 0.625. Ito po ang part na to. Ito po ay 0.875. Kaya po nagmukhang sobra ng 0.01. Okay? So that would be your entry. But before I proceed with the next slide, check ko lang po yung chat natin. Sir, paano po kung may absent or late yung employee? Uy, very good question. Pero bago ikaw, may nauna pang nagtanong sa'yo. Sir, paano pag nag-loan yung employee, ganun pa rin po ba yung computation? Ito, nasagot ko na. What if po, sir, yung loan ay from, halimbawa, SSS, may effect po ba yun? Parang ordinary loan din. So, SSS, loan. Loans payable. So, ibig sabihin, yung hindi siya under ng SSS contribution, magkakaroon ng another item na SSS loan. Ayan. Magkakaroon lang po ng another item. Pag-ibig din. So, pag-ibig loan. Ayan. Depende lang sa company kung anong tawag niya sa account na yan. So, balikan ko lang. Baka may follow-up question dyan. Doon, baka before ko i-answer yung last question. Sir, paano kung may absent o late yung employee? Ibabawas po yan sa total earnings. Bawas po sa basic na yun. Okay? Pero, saan ka titingin para sa SSS field ng pag-ibig? Dito pa rin. Dito pa rin po sa 13 and 12. Okay? Bawa absent. Actually, yung absent, kasi si Jansen, parang binabayaran naman per us. So, yun yung actual niya. Ngayon, kung talagang na-determine, 13 days tapos may na-late, ima-minus po yun. Pero yung SSS niya, ano nangyari? Yung SSS niya, PhilHealth and Pag-ibig, would be based, dun pa rin sa basic natin. Sir, sa EOM pa rin po ba na sahod, ibabawas yung contributions kahit weekly ang sahod? That is a policy na pwedeng iset ng company. Kung ang gusto ng company, weekly ang sahod, pero ang pagbawas ng contribution ay sa dulo lang, walang problema. Okay? Pero kung ang gusto niya, every week din magbabawas ng SSS PhilHealth Pag-ibig, wala rin problema. Kaya lang tulad ng sabi natin, nabawa, 4 weeks yan. Noong una, 150 na bawas. Sumunod, 120 na bawas. Sumunod, 100 na bawas. Pagdating sa dulo, 800 pala rin total na bawas. Ima-minus lang natin itong mga ito. Kano to? 370. Ibig sabihin, 430 na lang yung ibabawas mo sa dulo instead of 800. Ganun po yun. Okay? Ayan. Okay, so let's continue. This one, huwag na natin sagutan si Javier Lorena. Same lang po yung trinabaho niya with Johnson Camp. So I'll just show the same answer. Same computation lang din po. For 16 to 30. Alright? Ito na lang po. Last payroll natin. Alam ko tatlo yung employees na nasa selling and administrative part, no? Pero pinili ko na lang si Alison Ace Agustin. So si Alison Ace Agustin, plant manager. Ay, hindi pala siya sa selling and admin, I'm sorry. So plant manager pala si Alison Ace Agustin. Ang sweldo niya ay 45,000 per month. Okay? So same payroll din na na-experience nung ating mga factory worker. Kaya lang, 45,000 per month, hatiin mo sa dalawa. Magkano ang basic niya? Magkano yung basic niya ngayong 1 to 15, magkano yung basic niya ng 16 to end of the month? So just divide it by 2. So that's 22,500. So si Allison, ayan. Mali po ito. My bad, hindi ko napansin. Siya po pala yung plant manager. So ito pa rin po ay, pero saan papasok? Sweldo ng plant manager to. Factory overhead po siya lahat, no? Hindi po siya direct labor. So my bad on this part. Naalala ko kagad na nilagay ko siya sa general and administrative. So it's factory overhead because that's the salary of the plant manager. Okay? Ang overtime premium, usually ang mga plant manager or plant supervisors, hindi po yan entitled sa overtime. Kung magsobra-sobra man siya ng oras, OTY po yun, kadalasan. Unless sobrang bait ng company na pag sobra-sobra ng oras, babayaran pa rin. Pero kapag kulang ang oras, no-offset lang po yun. Kasi syempre, manager na yan for the longest time, na-prove na niya yung sarili niya, entitled siya sa pag-manage ng kanyang time. So flexible yung time niya. Okay? Unless the company has a strict policy na ganitong oras dapat. So depende po yun sa company. But going back, factory overhead po yung 22,500. Okay. So wala siyang overtime premium. Walang deduction at first. So yung the entire amount ng sweldo niya ay taxable na. So saan siya nag-fall? Doon po sa, dyan pa rin, sa 16,667 wherein 1,250 yung tax niya. Tapos yung excess po natin na 5,833 would be multiplied by 25%. Tama. So 5,833 times 0.25, that's 1,458. Yeah, correct. 25% pa rin. And that would be the entire tax. Magkano net pay ni Allison? That would be 22,500 minus the 2,708.25 lang tanging deduction niya. So that would be 19,791.75. Net pay po niya. Okay? Let's continue. Paano yung 16 to 30 niya? Ayan na. So 22,500 pa rin yung 16 to 30 niya. Pero SSS niya, malamang todo na yan. Pero anong basis? 45,000 po Kaya itong 675 saan galing yan? 45,000 times 3% divided by 2. So the answer is 675. Okay? And this one is 100. Sagad-sagad na yan, 45,000. Kaya naman, ang entire deduction ay 1,575 para mag-arrive ng total earnings before withholding taxes or the taxable income. Kaya naman, ang taxable income natin dito pa rin pasok. 16,667, 1,250 ang tax. And in excess, 25% of 4,258 is 1,064.5. Kaya ang total tax ay 2,314.5. Kaya naman, ang end of the month niya ay medyo hindi ganun kalakihan yung kanyang net pay because SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, and withholding taxes are to be deducted at the end of the month. Kaya lower po yung kanyang net pay. Alright, so before I proceed to the next slide, I'll just check the chat room. Sir, di ba meron pong non-taxable benefits? May limit ceiling po ba doon sa amount kung ilan lang po? Ano mga non-taxable benefits po ang tinutukoy natin? Basta po kapag may mga non-taxable, i-minus po natin yun. Yun po yung idea doon. Pero in our payroll here, kasi we just refer to SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig. Dahil ano bang non-taxable ang iniisip natin na benefit pa? Please be specific. Pero ang idea po, hindi po talaga isasama sa taxable income, i-minus mo po yun. Okay. May limit ceiling po ba dun sa amount kung ilan lang po? Kung ang tinutukoy mo yung mga de minimis, yung 13-month, etc., yung mga ganyang benefits, yes po, may limit po yung mga yon na exempt up to this amount and then the excess will be part of the taxable income. Pero usually ginagawa po yan sa dulo ng taon. Yes po, yung mga ganyan, ayan, sa rice subsidies po, may limit na 2,000 para maging taxable, hindi po ba sir, mga ganyan. Okay, actually, yung mga benefits na yan, merong ceiling na sinet, tapos yung lumagpas dyan, yun lang yung magiging taxable. Ganun po ang idea. Pero this one, bait na examiner pag lahat ng yun nilagay. Pero ginagawa po yan usually at the end of the month to reconcile. Halimbawa, lahat ng benefits na hindi po end of the month, end of the year. Lahat ng benefits for the entire year. Yun, pag sumobra na ng ganung amount, the excess would be taxable. Okay? Pero hintayin mo muna matapos yung mga monthlies na mga benefits sa dulo, yun. I-deduct din naman lahat. That is due naman talaga sa BIR. Ayun. So usually po, usually po ba pag fixed rate po na monthly, wala pong OT yun? Yes. Usually. Pero meron po kasing fixed rate na, hindi kapag manager po ang sinabi ko. Pero kapag may mga accountants, fixed rate po monthly, nag-overtime. So, meron po yung overtime premium. Pero if the company says na wala talaga OT, offset lang, ibig sabihin, sumobra ka ng 4 hours today, bukas, pwede kang magkulang ng 4 hours. Parang ganun. Pwede mong hanapan doon sa mga panahon na hindi kailangan masyadong duty, doon po nagkakaroon ng break. Okay. Sir, what time daw po ang break? Hindi na kasi patapos na po ako. My apologies, I forgot na magpa-break. Dire-diretso po tayo. Ayun, na-miss ko lang siguro mag-discuss. Kaya medyo nagdire-diretso tayo. Sir, ang ginamit po namin is yung basic pay na regular hours at OT hours sa pagkuha ng SSS at PhilHealth. Since nag-ask din po sa ibang section, wala po bang considerations po doon? Ay nako. If the problem is silent, we have to go to the very basic. I mean, kung ano yung pinaka-minimum na nare-require ng government. So, wala bang consideration doon? At least you have learned this time. Yun na lang. Pero siyempre may effort, points for the effort. Ano lang naman yun may maliit na portion. So alam ko naman na siyempre up to the net pay magkakaroon ng error. But of course, there will be points for efforts. Tama naman kayo sa total earnings, right? Ayan, so. Sir Raisa, okay, I'm looking for the other question. Wala na. So, are you sure na wala na kayong question before we end today's session? Kasi my next slide is end of the chapter, and that is a thank you message also to everyone who attended today's or tonight's session. So, are you sure you don't have any more questions? Kung wala na, I think we could end the recording now.